So we're going to go over the rules, as far as not even the rules, we're going to go over the state championship information and some that you need from me, and then somebody's going to come and do the rules clinic for you. Your first day of competition is November 5th, 2018. As you know, you are a year-long sport, so you can be practicing now. This is the first competition, and I will have the sanctioned competitions online probably by Wednesday. I do have them. I was waiting to the rules clinic to get them up. But it looks like every weekend is full when it comes to sanctioned competitions. Winter sports information is due on December 15th. Your athletic directors do know this. Make sure you get a roster online by December 15th. And yes, I know the rosters are ever changing all the way up until the week before state. Just as those are evolving, make sure you keep Max Preps up to date. We do know they change, they don't, and all this type of stuff, but just make sure you get that online. State registration form. State is going to be March 29th and 30th, 2019 in the pit. We need your registration form by February 22nd. No exceptions. So those need to come in if you are going to perform at the state competition, February 22nd. We do, Alyssa, my assistant, does a great job, and we keep calling if we don't see that your registration form is in, so on and so forth. So we try to make sure anybody who competed last year has their registration form in for this year. As you know, at the pit, usually on that Thursday before, we allow you to come and check your music. Last year we could not because the women's basketball team had a game there that night. We didn't set up the mats till 9-10 p.m. the night before. So we're hoping, well, we want to hope that that happens, but we're kind of hoping it doesn't happen. So if so, then we'll go back to you be able to check your music the Thursday before. We have not had any problems at the pit, especially when you have tablets. So that is the best source. That system, 95% of the time with smartphones, it works. That system, sometimes with the smartphones and the little connections, 5% of the times it may not work, but the majority of the time it does. But hopefully we'll be able to test that on Thursday. This year, we flip-flop it every year. Cheer will be first, dance will be second. So flip-flopping that. Any questions with that? Sanctioned competitions, like I just said, they will be posted online. We have 2 competitions, usually in a weekend. I try to do one north-south. There are a couple this year that might have 2 in the central area. You might be competing against each other, but we just need to make sure we tend to have more in the central area or the northern part than we do in the southern. Actually, this year, though, the southern, I think, has about 6 or 7 competitions. So it's really expanding in the southern part of the state. How many of you put on a competition? Few of you, 1, 2, 3, okay. When you go and put on a competition or when you attend a competition, especially in dance, member schools only in this part of the competition, and then if they're club teams and solos. Guys, solos should not be mingled with NMAA sanctioned teams. And we tend to do that. We tend to have dance and then solos, and then maybe cheer, or we mingle them. We do not, I can't say we don't sanction solos, but that's not part of NMAA. That's something separate. So when you're having your competition, you want to do all your members, whether it's cheer and dance, you want to do all your member schools first. Then separate it and do all your club world. I know a lot of you do have club teams because that's where you make your money. You make your money with little elementaries and you make your money with solos, and that's where a lot of those parents are coming in. So I do understand that, but you cannot mingle them. So make sure they're separated. Now the judges in this are only being asked to judge NMAA sanctioned teams. They're not being asked to judge solos. We're getting a lot of complaints from the judges because they go into a competition and they have the team, and then they're asked to judge solos, and then they're asked to judge cheer on top of that. And the solos, they were not assigned to do solos. So make sure you separate those out. And if your judges are coming in, ask them, Would you like to judge our club competition and our solos and that type? If they do, you should be paying them extra, because the money that they're going there for is just for sanctioned competitions. Be nice and ask them ahead of time. And if they don't want to judge the club part, then you're going to need to get somebody else to judge the club part. Okay. Questions? Separate them out. Middle schools. We have problems with middle schools. Middle schools have a separate tech sheet, okay, because they have different things that they can and cannot do. Actually, they cannot do, not can do, that they cannot do. So they're separated. And also, a lot of our middle schools, some of them are not members of the association. So do not assume that a middle school is a member. I'll give you a good example. Hope High School. Hope is a member for high school. They are not a middle school member. So they should not be competing against your middle school member schools. They should be competing in the club world. And so we are doing the best that we can to separate that for you, members and non-members. Vanessa will have something online. We'll put something online, and we're trying to get our athletic directors to tell us, are they members, are they not members, so on and so forth. If you know a middle school goes to your competition and it's not on the list, come and ask us and we'll find that out for you. But we're trying with our athletic directors, please tell us about cheer. And I'm going to ask them again tomorrow. We just need to know who's members and who's not members. Any questions? Elementary, we do not. We don't even have, they're going off of the same. You guys are having them do the judges, do the same score sheets and tech sheets, and we don't even sanction elementary. So I don't know. How many of you guys have elementary at your competitions? Anybody? Expedition. So how do you judge them?
We don't. We just tell them yay.
Okay. You just tell them.
Come and perform and enjoy the atmosphere.
Sure, and then
tally in the scores at the end.
Got it. Okay. That she said for the elementary, they just say yay, you did good. That's an exhibition type thing. So, hey, that's a good way to do it because the parents come in and they buy a ticket and they buy concessions. So I do understand that these competitions tend to be very good money makers. So I want to do the best we can with it within the NMAA guidelines. Licensed coaches. Every coach needs to be licensed. So even your volunteers. Now I understand choreographers are really not, but if you got people working with tumbling coming into your schools and your tumbling coaches and so on and so forth, need to make sure they're licensed, or if they're working with you at all, and that they're ACA certified. The ACA certification is for 4 years. So if you need to know how long you still have till it is, we have access to that. So make sure everybody's ACA certified as well. Also, if somebody's getting a new license from the NFHS Learn, you need to take fundamentals of coaching and first aid. So all of that, your HR people know, your athletic directors know, but as a head, guys, it is a liability issue. So make sure everybody is licensed. And the ACA certification, that will save you if something happens. That's why we have you do it. It's a safety course, and if you are trained in safety and something happens, a lawsuit will be a lot better if somebody gets hurt. So make sure. Same classifications. We actually are down to 5 classes. You follow whatever your basketball classification is. Okay, so football has 6 classes, basketball has 5. And so every sport has 5. That is what you are going to follow. The big schools, most of the big schools that were 6A are now 5A. One of the ones that were 5A are now 4A. Where the change is in that 3A. Some of them are up, some of them are down. So you'll like that. West Las Vegas, 3A. Well, you like that? I'm sure there's some of them that are right there in that border. There's 11 schools that this really affected up or down. So make sure you know what classification you are. Even though you aren't cheer, we did add another classification for co-ed cheer. There happened to be about 28 to 30, or I think something in there, 20-something in co-ed 5A, 4A together combined. So we did split it out this year, okay, for co-ed. Safety. You guys do a great job on this. We had a whole thing in there about safety. Just be smart. Read the rule book. Hey, you understand safety, and when it comes to dance. We had a cheer team walk a parade and did basket tosses on the concrete in the parade. So, yeah, that came right to me, and believe me, I called right away. We're lucky nobody got hurt. And so, and I know you guys work hand in hand sometimes with cheer, sometimes you don't, but a lot of times you do. Hopefully you work hand in hand. Just make sure if you know the rules and those kids are doing something they shouldn't be, just watch out for it. Because that's eventually, if something happens in the cheer world, it's going to affect the whole entire school, because injuries do happen. And so just be aware of what you can and cannot do, but you guys understand that. That's more of a cheer issue. This is a good one for you guys, the music copyright course. I would take that. I would take that. I would go in and look at it. And coaching, cheer, and dance course, this is not mandatory. It's just a suggestion that you take, that you look at it. If you ever have any, about, all that was going on a couple of years ago about music, this will tell you everything about it. So I highly suggest you take the music copyright. And last but not least, sportsmanship. Guys, it's just, and I say this, it's just a game. And I know we're not in a game, but it's just a competition. Deb from Aztec stood up there and talked again, and a little teary-eyed. And after I spoke it here, and it was like, it puts it in perspective. What about life? There's so many other things going on. We had a shooting in Aztec, and that's life. And so we're teaching our kids how to handle those things and what can we do, lifelong skills. And your pat on the back, guys, you do it because, and I coached for years, and I still coach with my sons and everything else, but when that person comes and says thank you to you, years later, you might not get the thank you now, but 4 or 5 years later when they're successful, they'll come back and say thank you, and that's what it's all about. Sure, it's about winning. We want to win. We want to win. We're working to get that blue trophy. But that trophy comes years down the road when your kids are successful. Yeah, we have a trophy. It's there. We'll take a picture of it, and we're all excited because we accomplished a goal. But what's the goal in life? And remember that. Remember that through the whole thing. Because ultimately, you want these kids, they're going to have babies and go on. You want them to be great citizens. You want them to be good moms. You want them to be good in their job. And they'll thank you for that more than anything. They'll thank you for that more than just winning a state championship. So remember that. Be the example for them. Be the role model.
Questions. I'm just going to go over a few of the important big changes, and then things last year that they saw at states that just to remind you guys of, and things like that. So a few of the big changes for you guys, basically in the inversion rule. Easiest way to think about this, if you guys are doing any kind of inversion in and out of a stunt, it requires 2 people to protect the head, neck, and shoulders. Okay, it follows the cheer rules on this, which is why it's really easy for me to explain to you guys. So if you're doing anything inverted, which we all know inversion means upside down, okay, it's going to take 2 people protecting the head, neck, and shoulders in any way you're doing it to make sure it's safely dismounted. Okay, do we all understand that? So not 1, 2. 2 people guiding, protecting the head, neck, and shoulders while we're dismounting in any way, shape, or form. That's that one. Head spins are no longer okay. You need to have your hands on the ground as you guys are doing anything with your head. So I believe a head spring is okay, but not a head spin. You can't be on your head and just kind of hang out and twirl around there. Good. So those are basically your only 2 major ones. And going in the inversion is just always making sure you have 2 people on the head, neck, and shoulders. I'm just going to basically go over a few things with you guys that were, again, and I wasn't at, this competition last year for you guys. I've actually judged this event in the past, but not your guys' end of it. But I was given a list of things that were just basically for you guys to keep an eye out so you're not deducted in the future on them. So one was straight drops, and basically it's straight drops and split drops, which again, I believe your hands have to go down as you guys are doing any of that kind of stuff. So these are just things that were brought to attention that we wanted to be reiterated to you guys to make sure you're good with this on next year. Jewelry on the face or not adhere to costumes, basically. So I believe one is if you're wearing something that, when you're trying to do skills that you're not able to actually do. Are you coming back up again? I like. So the last ones are basically just turning your skills and stuff into the stunt and not following stunt rules when you're going up into a skill and you don't have that spotter and stuff like that. So just making sure you're following. And then it says dismounts into inversions, which now again, when we're doing any kind of inversions, you just have those two people protecting the head, neck, and shoulders. So those are the major dance ones. Is there anything we're missing to touch up on? I believe those are it.